Want to welcome everybody to this evening, September 13th, 2021 Public Council meeting. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Here.
Councilwoman Scavich?
Here.
Councilman Zacchelli?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Masseri?
Here.
Mayor Tonella?
Here, please rise for the flag salute.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting was duly provided to the Verona Cedar Grove Times and the Star Ledger by email and published in an annual schedule of meetings dated December 24, 2020, and filed with the Township Clerk and posted on the public bulletin board in the municipal building lobby in accordance with the Open Publics Meeting Act. The first item on the agenda is item 2, Extraordinary Business Township Council, presentation of a Knights of Columbus to Police Officer Busio. Good evening.
I am Ray Scally, this year's chairman of the Shield Award of the Knights of Columbus Council 3632, representing Cedar Grove and Verona, and we are here to present Cedar Grove Officer Joe Busio with the highly prized Shield Award. This award is given to a valuable representative of first responders from the police department, the fire department, or the rescue squad from either Verona or Cedar Grove. The recipient demonstrates exemplary service to his community by his actions and demonstrates the professionalism displayed by his fellow first responders. Given to Officer Busio because of his pursuit of burglary suspects that ultimately resulted in the apprehension and arrest of 4 individuals allegedly responsible for a total of 84 burglaries across northern New Jersey, including Cedar Grove and Verona, from October 2020 to March 2021. I would also like to acknowledge former Captain Joe Sarasa for his nomination of Officer Busio, and for Captain Eileen O'Toole for her help in coordinating tonight's ceremony. Some of my fellow Knights are here tonight in the back row, including Grand Knight Pat Mullen, a Cedar Grove resident. We are proud to present the 2020 Shield Award to Officer Busio, along with a token of our appreciation for his work, his efforts, and his accomplishment in the apprehension of the alleged suspects. On behalf of Council 3632, we congratulate you and thank you. The residents of Cedar Grove and Verona can rest comfortably tonight as a result of your contributions. Officer Busio. Thank you, Council.
Hoorah, hoorah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Myself and the police department really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you to the town council as well for recognizing.
Thank you.
Good job.
Mr. Scally, I just want to say I want to thank you and the Knights on behalf of the council and the governing body for recognizing Patrolman Busio. We feel here, we're very jaded, that all of our officers are very special, and we feel very lucky to our police department, including, Chief Sarasa over there, didn't mean to get you demoted over there, Chief Sarasa, Captain O'Toole, and the rest of the leadership. We are really lucky in town here, but, it is special, and it's great when we can go out of our way to recognize, our officers for a job well done, because they really do, a day in and day out, keep this township's Cedar Grove safe, and we are all very appreciative of their efforts. And we're going to talk a little bit later on about the storm that just passed through and the heroic efforts that they made to keep us safe then. But it's day in and day out. We see it all the time, and we take it for granted, I think. So we just want to thank you, the Knights, thank Patrolman Busio, and everybody else on the Cedar Grove Police Department for doing what you guys do. We really appreciate it and want to thank you. don't know if anybody else
Mayor,
wants to say anything.
one other thing. I'd just like to recognize Joe Cafarella, one of the Knights of Columbus, works in our own finance department downstairs. Joe, good job.
Yeah, thank you. Take your time.
Can I get that proclamation?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's here. I was a little disappointed. I thought you meant it.
I wanted to, I know you. Definitely did.
I know you did.
Pressure was on.
Caved quick, my friend. Good night, everybody. Thank you again. Thank you. Okay. It's always special time. Moving on to item 3 of the agenda, approval of minutes. Item A, to consider approval of minutes of regular public meeting, August 9th, 2021. Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve, Mayor.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Scavich?
Yes.
Councilman Zakeli?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Masseri?
Yes.
Mayor Tinella?
I'm going to abstain. I was absent from that meeting. Item number 4, a public hearing. Let me just back up a second. I know there's some residents from the township that are not typically here, just from a protocol standpoint. Everybody will get an opportunity to speak. There's 2 parts in the agenda where you can speak, but if you want, I think the best spot is an item 11, where we're going to open the meeting up to everybody here wishing to be heard. You can come up to the podium, give your name and address, and you can talk or ask any questions that you have, okay? All right, good. I meant to say that earlier. Item 4A, to consider adoption of pending bond ordinance 21878, acquisition of property.
A bond ordinance authorizing the acquisition of real property in and for the Township of Cedar Grove in the County of Essex, New Jersey, appropriating $1,250,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $1,190,000 of bonds or notes to finance the part of the cost thereof.
The meeting is open to the public for this item and this item only. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I close that portion of the meeting. Is there a motion?
Mayor, I move for the adoption of pending bond ordinance number 21-878 to be published in the Verona Cedar Grove Times as a passed ordinance to take effect as prescribed by law.
Is there a second?
A second.
Under discussion, Mr. Tucci, you just want to briefly explain for the public's edification?
This bonding ordinance is to appropriate money for the acquisition of the property on the corner of Route 23 and Fairview Avenue. This property has been subject to a number of lawsuits, and ultimately, the Joint Insurance Fund, North Jersey Intergovernmental Insurance Fund, and the township came to a settlement with the last applicant. We're not only settling the case, but we're acquiring the property, and these dollars are what is going to settle it. The property settled for $1.375 million, of which $150,000 will be coming from the Joint Insurance Fund, hence the bond ordinance for $1.225 million. And that's basically it, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Tucci. Just piggybacking off your comments, for those in the public who aren't aware, one of the goals of this council, this governing body, is to acquire open space wherever we can to, prevent overdevelopment of Cedar Grove. And, while this is not a big piece of property, every piece counts. So I know I'm happy, and I know the rest of the governing body is happy that we are able to acquire this piece of property, turn it over to Green Acres, and it'll never be developed, which is great. So we have a motion, we have a second. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Scavich?
Yes.
Councilman Zakeli?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Masseri?
Yes.
Mayor Tinella?
Yes. Item 4B, to consider adoption of pending ordinance 21879. It's ordinance repealing Chapter 21 of the Township Code entitled Downtown Advisory Committee. Nothing? Okay. I'm opening the meeting up for this item and this item only. Mr. Burns, please, come on. It's good to see you.
I'm back.
Back with the beard.
Oh, yeah. I got hair all over the place. Paul Burns, 2 Elm Drive, Cedar Grove. I apologize, I wanted to come up, but the meeting's been off air for the last couple of months. I don't know why. But anyway, for this item, the last item, I'm sorry, I missed it. But that property is never to have a turnaround. I'm talking about Fairview Avenue and 23.
Mr. Tucci, just
There's
want to
never
respond?
any,
No.
not gonna be anything there.
Not
Right.
It's gonna be open space,
Just
total?
Open space as it is with the trees on it. All we'll do is cut the grass and maintain debris.
You gotta cut the trees, you cut the grass.
No. Cut the grass, not cut the trees.
Sorry. Very good. This next one is, where are we?
We're under 4B, Mr. Burns.
Yes, the advisory committee. How exactly are we changing? Do we have an explanation, a total explanation? I think Ms. Tucci's gonna tell me, but is there something that we're gonna do different? Are we gonna change anything? I don't know how much we could change. in
I
the
don't know, Mr.
advisory.
Tucci, you want to expand on that, and how we're going to do
Well,
differently? I mean, it's been an
basically-
ongoing discussion we've had here at the
Yeah,
council for...
Basically, the role of the advisory committee and the role of the Chamber of Commerce are very similar in nature. As far as getting a quorum and getting members for the advisory committee has been very hard. So the council basically was looking to do away with the one committee and then try to consolidate it all in the Chamber of Commerce, who would take on a lot of the role and does a lot of duplicate items that this committee was doing.
Do you help in getting new businesses going, or?
Well, that's basically the purview of the Chamber of Commerce. We as a township always do that. When we have properties out there, we think there are people that may be interested to fill vacant stores or whatever.
Yeah.
We're always doing that.
We're having trouble these days because of the floods and everything. That's what, it's pretty much on my mind about this whole discussion. That's where the advisory it's difficult now because we're doing all this stuff. And I'm sure we're gonna discuss more about the flood and everything like that.
We will.
You know?
And Mr. Burns, just to follow up, Councilman Zakelli was the liaison to the Downtown Advisory Committee, and he's been intimately involved since he's been on the council with the hardships that we've had maintaining the Downtown Advisory Committee. And this board doesn't feel like we're losing anything in that sense. And I mean, if you
Mayor,
want to
if I
share
may,
anything,
thank you,
expand on
Mayor.
that.
Yeah, so the Downtown Advisory Committee was one of my liaison assignments when I first joined the council, and immediately the ordinance had a very narrow scope as to the jurisdiction of what the committee was. It was the downtown from, I believe it was Union to the Trestle. And in time, this committee started to, in my opinion, in consultation with the council, expand its purview and go beyond what the charter originally prescribed for the committee. With respect to your comment about the flooding, that committee had no insight or frankly, no authority to comment on that issue. And also, their task was to, initially, I believe when it was formed, promote a downtown environment that was conducive for businesses. And then when I got on the committee and I felt that was starting to expand beyond the chartered scope of what the ordinance set forth, it no longer served its purpose. So, with respect to your comment about the flooding or bringing businesses to town, I frankly don't think that the committee was doing that when we were meeting.
And we had already, it had absolutely nothing to do with any of the flooding.
Well,
We had
of
already
course
been discussing it already, but at the same time, as we're dissolving that committee, we do have a very active and vibrant Chamber of Commerce. And we had discussions, members of this council, with the Chamber and the Downtown Advisory Committee to try to have the two committees maybe merge, have the Chamber survive. For whatever reason, that didn't work out, so we're dissolving this committee. Those members who are on that committee who still want to participate, they can volunteer and participate in other manners, but in our opinion, we're not losing anything in that sense. We're moving forward. We have a very active Chamber of Commerce that supports all of our businesses in town,
I understand.
okay?
I'll be back.
Yeah,
I'm
very
waiting
good.
for the next one. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. Anybody else have any comments or questions? All right, seeing none, close that portion of the meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
Mayor, I move for the adoption of pending ordinance number 21-879 to be published in the Verona Cedar Grove Times as a passed ordinance to take effect as prescribed by law.
Is there a second?
Second.
We had discussion. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Stavish?
Yes.
Councilman Zakeli?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Masseri?
Yes.
Mayor Tonello?
Yes. Item 5, award of bid. A, to consider resolution concerning award of bid for removal, pruning, and spraying of township trees.
Be it resolved that the award of bid be made to Computer Brothers Tree Service of Upper Montclair, New Jersey for a 2-year term from September 13th, 2021 to September 13th, 2023.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved, Mayor.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? A roll call, please.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Stavish?
Yes.
Councilman Zakeli?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Masseri?
Yes.
Mayor Tonello?
Yes. Item 5B, to consider a resolution concerning award of bid for reconstruction of Myrtle Avenue.
Be it resolved that the award of bid be made to American Asphalt and Milling Services of Kearney, New Jersey.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved, Mayor.
Is there a second?
Second.
Under discussion, Mr. Tucci, can you, I know you do this often, can you just give a quick overview of what we're doing here?
Yeah, what's happening is, we applied for an NJDOT local aid grant from the state of New Jersey. We were successful in getting it. I believe we're getting approximately $340,000 of combined aid to reconstruct this street. It's part of our ongoing program. We just completed Ozone Avenue, and there'll be a few more applications going in for next year's. But this is to get this project started. I believe one of the stipulations is it has to be started by November 1. So once this contract's awarded, we anticipate this is going to be started, and we'll go as long as the weather allows us to completion. And the only way it will not happen is if we get a snowstorm
Right.
and get shut down. It'll be completed in the spring, but our goal is to get it done this time of year and complete it.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Tucci. Are there any other questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Stavish?
Yes.
Councilman Zakeli?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Masseri?
Yes.
Mayor Tonello?
Yes. Item 6, the meeting is now open to residents of the township wishing to be heard on any item on the agenda. Anybody wishing to be heard? Come on, Mr. Burns.
See, I'm getting better. See, I'm weak. I just wanted to, I'm sorry again, Paul Burns, 2 Elm Drive, I was back. Anyway, I just wanted to jump ahead to the new business. Can I discuss that?
Sure.
Okay, I'm sure Mr. Tucci's gonna explain every one of these, but I'm pretty slow and pretty stupid. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that that I understand, what the codes, 188 for the township entitled Peace and Code, peace and good, what is it? Peace and good order.
Right.
And I just wanted to make sure that we touched in on it. I'm looking at the sewer charges. I don't understand it. We have 2 of them for Essex County and I guess that's town. Are we changing that? I know it's not there yet.
Right.
I'm just.
Why don't we do this, Mr.
Yep.
Mayor? Well, why don't I take them one by one and explain, all right? This way,
I'm going to wait for you. Okay. I just want to make sure that I understand. So that's all I'm saying.
no,
Mr. Tucci.
I can explain it now, or I can explain.
Why
when
don't
we get to
while
it.
he's up here,
Do
if
it.
you don't mind, go ahead,
All right,
Mr. Tucci.
I'll
Okay.
do it rather quickly.
Yeah, go ahead.
Item 8A is an amendment to the code of peace and good order. What this is we have garage sales in town, all right?
Uh-huh.
And currently, the code says that the zoning officer issues the permit, where in actuality, the construction code official is supposed to be the one doing it. So, years ago, the zoning officer was the construction code official, now no longer. So this is cleanup language so that the code enforcement officer is designated to issue garage sale permits.
Understood.
And this way, the right person is designated in
Right.
the code that's actually doing it. And number 2, 8B, it's the same thing. Only this has to do with everything generally. All the references to zoning officer are now changed to construction official, code enforcement officer, so that the correct person who's actually doing that enforcement is listed in the code book. And, it could be a snafu if we issue a summons and go to court and they're saying the wrong person issued the summons is not valid at that point. So basically, this is cleanup language in the code so that the right person who's designated to do that job is listed in the code that way.
Very good.
All right, now, moving on to item 8C. Okay, which is surcharges. 8C pertains to a particular property that had a leak on their property. I'm not going to list the name. And the water did not go in the sewer system. At that point, when you get your surcharge is based on your water consumption, right? So their water did not go in the sewer system because it leaked onto the ground. So they requested from the governing body for relief from just the sewer portion of their bill, which the governing body agreed to, and this is a resolution canceling the sewer portion of their water bill. All right? Item 8D is the County of Essex, the Hilltop Development. The sewage for that section of town goes to the Township of Verona.
Okay.
All right? And that was way back before the Hilltop was developed. We bill the County of Essex, because they own the property prior to Hovnanian, a certain water charge. And actually, the water portion they had to pay, same thing happens here. The sewer portion, they had to pay Verona, and they paid us by accident. So we have to refund them the money that they paid us for surcharges. Because our computer just spits out automatically water, and then it tacks on the sewer based on the water usage. So that's just a correction of overpayment that the County of Essex paid us. Got it?
Yep.
And then the last one is a raffle application for the Elks
That's,
Club.
yeah.
Thank you, Mr.
We
Tucci.
like that.
Uh-huh.
All right. I'm not done, but I'll be back.
You know what they say, 3 times the charm, right? We'll see you, okay? All right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mr. Burns. Moving on to item 7, reports of township officials. Mr. Tucci, we really have you on the spot tonight, so you can lead us
Good
off.
evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
I'm going to highlight, first of all, the storm in my report. Number one, I just want to report that the storm cleanup is complete regarding bulk pickup. Bulk pickup was completed on Friday. I know it took us 3 bites at the apple. We started the previous Saturday, and we had it again on Wednesday. And the only reason why we didn't complete on Wednesday was because the dump where they bring the bulk garbage, every town had bulk pickup last Wednesday in Essex County, and there were 2 to 3 hour waits for the trucks to dump, so they could never get back here. Hence, we finished on Friday, and I'm happy to report that as far as what we had on file, as far as people calling up, everything's been picked up. There are a few stragglers out there, but they'll be on the regular Wednesday bulk pickup from here on in. As far as the flooding goes, I have a report here from our municipal engineer, Alex Palumbo. And again, his memo is in response to a report that he gives us for every major storm. And what he's reporting is that NJ.com has totaled up the rainfall amounts for all the towns in the whole state of New Jersey. And if you look at the report, it has the NJ.com. In Cedar Grove and adjoining areas, we probably received the most rainfall of most of the communities in the state of New Jersey. We estimate over 7 inches of rain. And just to give you a comparison, Hurricane Floyd, which was the heaviest rain on record, which was 7 inches over a 5-hour period, this exceeded that. Township of Montclair had 7.45, West Cornwall had 6.9 inches. But this type of storm is typically what they consider greater than a 100-year event. A 100-year event is the greatest storm within 100 years. Well, you could throw that out the window nowadays because the 100-year event's been coming more and more frequent. It's coming every 2 years, every 6 months now. And as a result, we experienced major flooding in the town. We referenced our police, fire, and first aid responders. These people were out there, their cars were floating. I know, Mayor, you were floating in it yourself.
Yep.
And this was an extraordinary event. The township, we experienced a lot of damage, property owners and the township ourselves. If you look here at this town hall, our basements were flooded. The Taylor's Brook behind us ravaged. If you look at the walls, are all torn out. They're probably going to start repairing them as an emergency. On Wednesday, back behind our DPW plant was again devastated. Hilltop Drive, another flood-prone area, Little Falls Road along the Peckman River. We have been in contact. I spoke to the county executive this morning. I know they're doing some major repairs up on West Lindsley Road, and I had him and the county engineer on the phone. They're going to be looking to see what they could help out in that area, the culverts up there. I also had calls from the EPA and DEP. They're going to be coming in and analyzing the Peckman River and the tributaries to that to see where they can get some federal dollars to do some improvements. A lot of the embankments along the brooks have been washed away. Peckman Town Road, if you look at it, it's chewed up right to the roadway. Back here behind the police department, chewed up right behind the roadway. But again, unless there's some federal assistance, it's going to be hard because the dollar amount is extravagant. We're documenting all the damages that were done. We have the county engineer coming in down to come and look at Little Falls Road. I know that bridge at Community Park Road where it crosses over has been a problem, and we're going to see where the improvements come. The county executive did, tell me that, he's all in. Whatever we need, he's going to try to help us. And one thing about the county executive, I have to say, when he gives his word, he's there 100%. He doesn't do anything halfway. He does it all the way. That's basically where we are with flooding at this point.
Mr. Tucci, just staying on that in there for the public and some of our residents in Little Falls Road. The county, how does that play into our role in looking at that in the county's role? Like where are the lines of
again,
delineation, just so they
What
we
happens
understand?
is there are certain roadways in the township that are delineated as county roads,
Right.
certain roads that are state roads, and certain roads that are municipal roads. Most of the major culverts, streams, brooks fall under either the county or the state purview at that point. That's why EPA and DEP is coming in to look at the Peckman River, they'll look at Taylor's Brook, and the county will come in and look at the bridges and culverts, whether it be the culverts under West Lindsley Road or the culverts or bridges on Little Falls Road there. So they're each going to look at their respective pieces.
Right.
And again, we contacted the county engineer, the day of this storm. And again, he's got devastation throughout the whole county. They
Right.
promised, they did put up cones up there, and I know they were up there working today. I think the contractor was Fletcher Kramer, was up there doing some repairs. But they're going to look at some studies and see what else they could do beyond that.
Okay.
That's what I was told this morning.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Tucci. Okay.
All right, moving right along on my report. In the packet, you had a request for a garage sale event. Ridgewood Acres has been in existence forever. They've held this garage sale for many, many years, and there's a request in the packet to continue that. I believe it's on the 18th, and that'll probably be an all-day event. It's funny because one of our former residents, Ann Pansilla, longtime resident, she basically started this many, many years ago. She used to have a Christmas event where she used to run a sleigh through in Ridgewood Acres, and they're just looking to continue this. Residents down there are very close, and they get together and do things as a group. Also, there's a request for a block party on Cedar Parkway. That's going to be also on the 18th, and that will start at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay.
Also, we had this evening the accommodation for Officer Dominic Bouchard. They changed his name too. But it was wonderful. And also, there's another accommodation in there. We had an attempted suicide of a woman with a handgun. The officers were there, and you'll see the accommodation in your packet. They were able to talk her down, get the gun away from her, and make her get to treatment that she needs. Also, the fire department has requested, there's a memo in the packet, they want to have their annual shredded event on 10/23 from 8 to 12 noon. It's an event, it's a small fundraiser. The fire department does a wonderful job with this. It's a service to the community. You have any old documents, they come and shred it, and they do accept donations because the fire department is a nonprofit. I know I bring my stuff there every year. I accumulate just to give it to them. But anybody who's interested, please come down and support. It's right here at Center Fire Company down below this building. Also, we have the Real Panthers Wear Pink, our 7th annual breast cancer awareness walk. That'll be on Thursday, October 21st. That's from 6 to 8 p.m. The money and the proceeds go to Minette's Angels. We have a great turnout every year. It's a great event for a great cause. Also in the packet, there is a draft, actually it's not a draft, it's a proposed shared service agreement for the new field behind LRP between the Township and the Board of Education for the council's consideration for this evening.
Mr. Tucci, while you're on that item, and I know for the town, the public's information, can you just give an update where we are on that field? I know it looks great. Turf went down. It looks absolutely great. A lot of people have been reaching out to us. I'm very excited. What's the latest and greatest on that field?
Latest and greatest is the turf has fully been completed. It's down. The field is ready to be utilized. The field is 99% complete. The only thing that has not happened yet is public service has not come in and tied in the electricity for the lighting. That's going to happen. So it's scheduled for next week to happen.
Okay.
But once the agreement is approved here and approved across the street, we will start utilizing it. And again, there's a full-size girls' high school softball field, small-sided soccer field, flag football, and practice lacrosse. It's a multi-purpose field. I know that there was an event, the first junior football game, where they had a 9/11 ceremony, and the fans in the stands were buzzing about what happened. Cedar Grove no longer has a field. Cedar Grove has a complex now. You have a complex with a series of fields, and our residents, I believe, are proud of what's happening here. It's new, it's exciting, and they can't wait to start using it.
Agreed. Right. Thanks,
Mayor,
Mr. Tucci.
Question.
Yes.
Through you. Mr. Tucci, do we have to take action on this agreement tonight?
There's a resolution.
Is there a resolution?
There is a resolution. I just brought it up just so you understand what you'll be voting on.
So just a question with this.
Yes.
So once this gets sent to the Board of Ed, and if they approve it, then it's
It's
good to
a
go.
fait
We
complete,
can
yes.
work for it.
And just so you understand the dynamic here, the dynamic is the township will do all the permitting on it. We will pay for all the maintenance on the field. We will have the insurance on it. We will pay for all utilities, so on and so forth. And just as the board does with us currently, they can, through our recreation department, they can schedule. The field will be available to them for gym classes or anything they want to use during the course of the day. I know that there's been some requests already because some people are out in front of the parade before it even starts. But it's all good things going on. Mayor, and as we coined years ago when we started Panther Park, something for everyone.
Exactly.
And then we're going to continue that.
Right.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yep. And the arrangement with us and the Board of Ed was purposeful when we entered into this arrangement, so the township can control that property. So we can control what goes on there, who plays on it, who uses it. That was a big thing for the governing body, and continues to be, so we can control the use of that property, so
And
it's
the other
great.
big thing was, the Board of Education's in the business of education. We're probably better equipped to maintain and handle it. That's why, and the board agreed with that concept.
What else, Mr. Tucci?
That's all I have.
That's all you
this evening,
have?
Mayor. Oh,
Okay.
Sorry, I'm so
Yeah,
short.
all right. Thanks, Mr. Tucci. Mrs. Stutz, good evening.
Good evening, no report.
No report, okay.
You always make me look bad.
Township Attorney, good evening.
Senator, good evening. My report involves pending litigation, closed session.
Pending litigation. Okay, that's it?
That's
You
it.
said pending litigation, what was that? Executive session?
Executive
Okay,
session.
that's what I said. Mrs. Stutz, on that note, I was going to ask you before I got here, if you can pass along, my friendly reminder over there, that'd be great. So I have it, because I don't have my copy with me. Thank you. Excellent. I knew you'd have it handy. All right, good. Okay, going into other reports. I'll start off tonight, so, again, I want to welcome everybody who's here again tonight. Just a couple of items. The council, as you know, we remembered the 20th anniversary of 9/11 this past Saturday, and the governing body, along with the Board of Education and Cedar Grove Waves, attended a ceremony at the Cedar Grove High School. I just want to thank Dave Schoner and Cedar Grove Waves for putting together the ceremony. They do it every year. It's a great way to, for us as a township, to remember 9/11, and especially for the kids, because it's really all driven through the kids, the high school students. So it gives them an education while it gives us an opportunity to remember those who passed away, in 9/11. And, especially, two of Cedar Grove's own, Norman Rosenau and Jack Eichler. And I've heard the stories of both of those two residents, probably for the last 15 years, but every year I hear it. It still brings chills to my body, and, I'm glad we do it every year, and I'm really appreciative that Dave Schoner and Cedar Grove Waves puts together a great a ceremony. And that's the memorial is left up. I'm looking at you, Councilman Skavich. Was that through the whole month of September? When did
No,
he take?
it will be taken down on September 23rd.
September 23rd, okay. So for those of you who haven't had an opportunity, if you go up by the high school, take a look at the memorial they have up there. It's really special, and I urge you to take a look at it. Mr. Tucci, we touched on Storm Ida and the devastation that it created for our township. I know we have a number of residents here who want to talk about it tonight, and I know you've already touched on some of those issues, and we're going to talk about it tonight. I know I've spoken to a number of residents, and I know the governing body, a number of us has, our professionals have, and we're going to continue those conversations even through tonight as we look to see what we can do as a community. I do want to, again, extend our gratitude to the police, the fire department, our rescue professionals for the service that they provided every day, but that evening, I happen to witness firsthand in town, officers and fire department personnel personally pulling people out of cars, out of the waterways, out of danger, going above and beyond, the scope of duty. And I talked to Mr. Tucci the day after. We use the word community in our town often, and you see these people risk their lives for our lives. It's really special. It's why we choose to live here. Yes, there was devastation, but you really see them, really rise to a level that they did. To see what they were doing, it was just really, it was amazing. What else I want to mention? And then we talked about the LRP multi-purpose field. I'm glad you gave a report on that, Mr. Tucci. And then the last thing, I just want to thank you again, Mr. Tucci, and professionals here at Town Hall, the flags that you have, the new banners that we have throughout Route 23, just look beautiful and on Town Hall. So thank you for putting that together for us. Okay? Okay. That's all I have to report on. I'm turning on over to you, Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening.
evening.
I also wanted to take the opportunity, in my report, I wanted to thank all of our police, fire, first responders, and also, I don't know if we mentioned, but our great DPW crews, as well as our town manager, Mr. Tucci, and staff for their tireless efforts in preparing for and responding to this unprecedented impact of the hurricane. Although many of our residents, as you said, Mayor, have experienced property damage and destruction as a result of the storm, fortunately, our township did not experience the same level of devastation as some of our neighboring communities, which have also included loss of life due to the flash flooding. We as the council have said on many occasions, and tonight I say it again, we're very fortunate to have the best first responders in the state of New Jersey. Everyone worked tirelessly, including our DPW, to ensure that our community was protected, and now it's back to normal. Thank you, Mr. Tucci, for reporting tonight. I know that I had several residents that had reached out to me personally about, the bulk, getting the garbage out, and you explained it, and your communication throughout the week and the last 2 weeks has just been very helpful and makes our job a lot easier, so thank you for that. The other item that I wanted to talk about, I know we touched on a few others, but I wanted to remind everybody can see, back to school, everybody's in person, so, it's that time of year where, the traffic and just the activity in town has gone up tremendously. So more, busy playgrounds, more kids running across the street, more activity throughout the township. Just ask everyone to, take note of that and to just slow down and be mindful of everything that's going on in town. We touched upon LRP, answered my question there, and the breast cancer walk. So I have no further report.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just one other item, you mentioned bulk sale, and I'm glad you brought that up again. And, you know, we take for granted the bulk sale pickup that we have on a weekly basis. And Mr. Tucci, right away, you implemented dual bulk sales on a number of days. Now, I was talking to other residents in other neighboring communities throughout Essex County and outside of Essex County. They don't even have bulk sale pickup. They gotta wait months for bulk sale. You need to make you need to pay for it, have it removed. So again, it's a service that we as residents take for granted. And you jumped right on that to provide our residents the opportunity to, obviously, everybody was hurting from the storm. This is an easy path, bring it out to your curb, and we're gonna take care of it for you. So thank you to the DPW for doing that, and thank you, Deputy Mayor, for bringing that up again. Councilwoman Peterson.
Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
I have a few things. I'm going to go back a little bit because it's been a while since we've met. So prior to Labor Day, I just wanted to first recognize Mr. Tucci Marisa and the great work she did by organizing the pickleball round robin tournament. It was really great. It was a tremendous undertaking on her part. I happened to participate in it, and it was a lot of fun. And I just wanted to know, do we have any plans? I know she kind of did that. I feel like this is very loud. I don't know, I know she wanted to see what the turnout was, kind of from that, to see what we might be doing in the future for pickleball courts.
All right, what's happening is we are proposing to stripe the tennis courts on Little Falls Road. Not the ones where you played, the ones.
The
off
bottom
near-
of Bordick.
near Bordick will be restriped for pickleball, and there'll be a dual use, it'll be tennis and pickleball. And hopefully, we're gonna try to start a league, because we saw there was an extensive amount of interest in playing pickleball. It seems to be a growing sport,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
hopefully people get enjoyment. If people enjoy doing it, we're gonna put it
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah, thank you for that. There was a lot of people there. It was a great turnout. It was a fun night. The other thing I just wanted to recognize was our Cedar Grove High School football team just traveled to Florida. I believe it was right beginning of September, maybe a week and a half ago. They went to Florida. They kind of had some adversity. It was the day after the storm, and their flight had gotten canceled. They had to fly the day they had to play. Anyway, they went down to Florida, and they beat a much larger team. My understanding, it was larger physically and a larger school overall. And our football team did a great job. I think that they made Cedar Grove proud. They were great ambassadors of the sport, and I just wanted to congratulate all of them and their families for that undertaking of going to Florida. Not, proud of them to just even go, but to go and be so successful. I know I was super proud of them, and I wish them a great season as well. And then moving on, I also, of course, wanted to recognize what has happened to our community with this storm. Everyone else kind of has touched upon it, but I spoke with our neighbors and friends that have been devastated. Their homes and their yards have been devastated, and our thoughts and prayers are with all of you, and whatever we can do to help, we will absolutely do. You have our support, and we do feel for all of you. And I, again, also wanted to thank the DPW, the police, the fire, the rescue squad, everybody for their hard work, dedication, being there in unsafe conditions for the safety of all of us. Also, again, touching on the field behind LRP, like we said, it looks wonderful. I'm very excited about it. Mr. Tucci knows I was there the other day scoping it out, taking pictures, calling him. It looks great. And also, I just wanted to say, I also attended the Elks Lobster Fest this past Saturday. Our Elks Club is a wonderful organization in this town that does a lot of wonderful fundraising, gives back. This was for wounded veterans, for disabled children. They just always provide a great event. They work really hard. I believe they told me they sold 300 tickets. So it's a huge event, and I thank them for their work to this community. And I believe that is all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Zucchelli?
Thank you, Mayor. I will echo all the sentiments of my fellow council members regarding the storm and our excellent response from the DPW and our police department. They go beyond what their job titles often lend themselves to think one would do. I have some updates from the Historical Society. They have 2 exhibits planned. One is farming in Cedar Grove, and the other one is the history of firefighting in Cedar Grove. So people are going to see how that overlays. A lot of the, Ed Christensen's a member of the Historical Society. He's also a member of the fire department. So I think he and Steve Young are probably going to head that up. And farming in Cedar Grove is always an agricultural community. So I think Phil Jager does a nice job presenting that. Those dates are not released yet, but when they are, they will be well noticed. Also, another big thing the Historical Society does every year, and I make a point to bring it up, is the pumpkin and apple sale. This is scheduled for Saturday, October 2nd, October 3rd, October 9th, and October 10th. This is something that Mr. Morgan did for quite a while when he was owning the property, and it's a nice tradition that the society keeps going. I always look forward to going to it. And on that note, with the Morgan House, Mr. Tucci, I'm very happy to report that our new roof withstood the storm. This year, the town put a new roof on the house, and thank God everything worked out well, so thank
And
you.
just
for-
to piggyback on that, we did go up and check the basement. The improvements that we made kept it dry with the new sump pump and the fixing of the windows in the basement.
Yeah, and as you know, very old building like that lends itself to a lot of leaks, and I believe the contractors are very specific who can work on it because it's
Correct.
a historical building, so the roof, upheld to its quality, and thank you for taking care of that this summer. And Mayor, that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Skibbage.
Thank you, Mayor. My first update is about CATV, and I do admit I'm coming in on this late in the game. It's a committee that I acquired when I joined the council back in July, so I'm not taking credit. But today is the first time that the new equipment is being used. So thank you, Mr. Tucci, Mayor Tonella. I know you played a major role in this, as did former Councilman Sakala. So hopefully those of you watching at home are watching us in HD.
Nice.
And some more updates that I got from Andy Fissner, who is leading the charge down there. The staff is in the process of getting trained. And meetings will soon be streamed live on YouTube. We're not quite there yet, but I think that's coming in the upcoming weeks. And another exciting update there is that we'll be able to stream events live as well. So we'll be able to take the show on the road, so to speak. So that's very exciting. Also, not to be repetitive, but everything you all said about what happened here last week, it was a tremendously scary time. And we really do have the best folks working in our town, so what an honor it is to live here. I have another update about the Junior Football League. On Saturday, they also hosted a September 11th memorial that Councilman Zakelli and I attended. I know Marisa had a lot to do with planning it. She really did a spectacular job. Excuse me. Also, the Cedar Grove Junior Football League Board, I'm going to name them because they're awesome. Bobby Sprague, Jerry DeLessio, Anthony Palo, Ray Bixler, Tony Amercy, Lisa Casilli, and Blakely Rico. They threw an event that was second to none. I mean, we went to Cedar Grove Waves in the morning. I thought, wow, this is really something. And then we did it all over again in the afternoon. So to have 2 events like that take place in our town was really spectacular. So thank you also to all the coaches, parents, and players. A couple of things of note about that event. Councilman Zakelli presented flowers to the family of Nicholas Storms, that we all know passed away last month after a long and courageous battle with cancer. The Football League dedicated their season to Nikki, so all the players have Nikki Strong on the back of their helmets. It's really cool. So if you get a chance to go out to see a game, you'll get to see that in person. The Verona team, our arch rivals, they presented a jersey to the Storms family in a really beautiful tribute of solidarity amongst our towns, and then we played a really great football team, and we won. Football game, and we won. I presented flowers to the family of Bill Fieron, who died in 2016 from complications after serving as a first responder on September 11th. So that was a tremendous loss for our community, so it was great to honor his family. There's also a wreath now at the memorial in Panther Park. So if you have a chance to stop by there and see that, it's beautiful. It was a really great day. So many people came together to volunteer to make it special, and I just wanted to say thank you. And that's it. That's my update.
Thank you for that report, Councilwoman Scavenge. Thank you. Mr. Tucci, one thing that Councilwoman Scavenge mentioned, our meetings and them being online. Our meetings currently are, we have a meeting right now, it's available online in YouTube. It's not in live, but it's available online for our residents to see, correct?
Well, what happened was, while they were making the change, there was a month or so.
That it was
where
down?
it was off.
Okay.
But they were posted retroactive.
Got it.
Now they're gonna be up
Okay.
immediately, and we're having a whole changeover on our Verizon equipment. So what happens is all these new cameras are all high definition. Once the equipment's changed downstairs, it'll be broadcast in high definition now.
Good.
So the quality of the picture, and there was always complaints about
Sound,
sound. People
right.
could not hear. I believe that should all be corrected also. So we really have state-of-the-art equipment now, and like Councilman Scavenge indicated, stuff's gonna be streamed out immediately, and we will be able to have live events now, whether it be, our holiday tree lighting or whatever the event is.
Good. So, Mr. Burns, I did hear you, that you wondered why, I know you're not there, why we didn't have our meetings. That's why the meetings weren't up there.
Listen, now I gotta go home and shave.
All right. Moving on to item 8, new business. To consider introduction of pending ordinance 21880, amending chapter 188 of the Code of the Township of Cedar Grove, entitled Peace and Good Order. Is there a motion to approve?
Mayor, I move introduction of pending ordinance number 21-880 to be published in full in the Verona Cedar Grove Times. The pending ordinance with a public hearing scheduled for October 4th, 2021.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any other discussion? Mr. Tucci already went through all these items. Anybody have any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Scavenge?
Yes.
Councilman Zakeli?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Nassari?
Yes.
Mayor Tinella?
Yes. Item 8B, to consider introduction of pending ordinance 21881, amending chapter 268 of the Township Code entitled Zoning.
Mayor, I move introduction of pending ordinance number 21-881 to be published in full in the Verona Cedar Grove Times. It's a pending ordinance with a public hearing scheduled for October 4th, 2021.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Scavenge?
Yes.
Councilman Zakeli?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Nassari?
Yes.
Mayor Tinella?
Yes. Let's say we take C and D together. To consider resolution concerning cancellation of sewer charges, and to consider resolution concerning cancellation of sewer charges with respect to Essex County. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Scavenge?
Yes.
Councilman Zakeli?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Nassari?
Yes.
Mayor Tinella?
Yes. Item 8E, to consider resolution concerning approval of raffle application for the Cedar Grove Elks Club. Is there a motion to approve?
Make the motion,
Is
Mayor.
there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Scavenge?
Yes.
Councilman Zakeli?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Nassari?
Yes.
Mayor Tinella?
Yes. Item 9, approval of bills.
Be it resolved that the summary of bills having been duly audited and found correct are hereby ordered paid in the amount of $3,707,339.02.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved, Mayor.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Mr.
If
Tucci?
Councilman Sakala was here, he'd tell you
Yes.
$2.6 million is a payment to the Board of Education.
He's
That's what-
smiling right now.
That's what he would say.
See that? Exactly. Thank you, Mr. Tucci.
Okay.
Any other discussion or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Scavenge?
Yes.
Councilman Zakeli?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Nassari?
Yes.
Mayor Tinella?
Yes. Item 10, contracts and agreements. A, to consider a resolution authorizing execution of a shared services agreement with the Cedar Grove Board of Education.
Make the motion, Mayor.
Is there any discussion?
This is for the agreement for mutual use of the field.
Right. And we talked about the mechanism, how that's going to work. Once we approve this will go over to the Board of Education for their review and approval. Is there any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Scavenge?
Yes.
Councilman Zakeli?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Nassari?
Yes.
Mayor Tinella?
Yes. Okay, the meeting is now open to residents of the township wishing to be heard on any item on or off the agenda concerning township business. Ms. Hartwick, good evening.
Good evening, Kate Hartwig, Essex County Liaison. It's nice to see you all. I'll start with some good information. On September 25th, the Essex County Environmental Center in Roseland will be hosting its Family Fall Fest, and everybody is welcome to participate. It's a free event, fun for friends and family, bring kids out. It's that kind of event. I will just reiterate what Mr. Tucci said. The county is working very hard to survey the damage throughout all of its communities. Hurricane Ida did have tremendous impact everywhere throughout the county. We have toured FEMA through many sites in order to advocate for financial assistance for both businesses and individuals, and having the area declared a major disaster zone, which I believe was achieved last week. That being said, Mayor Tonella did reach out to me specifically about Cedar Grove Park and some of the culverts that run over Fairview Avenue and into the Hilltop area. Our county engineer will be looking at that to assess the damage and whether there's any additional engineering that needs to happen in terms of that runoff. But as Mr. Tucci said, this was a very significant storm, more than a 100-year storm, not something that most areas are engineered for. And so we'll be anxious to see what his report does say.
Ms. Hartwick, thank you for your report. And I just want to thank you for, always being there to support us. Yours was one of the first texts I got the night, during the storm, reaching out, seeing how we're doing, and I remember vividly said, let me know anything that you guys need. So I know it's reassuring having, the county and their support during the storm and always. So I just wanted to say thank you for that and reaching out and providing that information. It's very helpful. All right. Anybody else? So if you would just come to the podium, give your name and your address, please.
Good evening. My name is Casimiro Souza, and I live at 94 West Lindsley Road.
Okay, hold on a second. It's Casimir Souza?
Yes, S-O-U-S-A.
S-O-A. And what is your address?
94 West Lindsley Road.
Thank you, Mr. Souza. Go ahead, please.
If you just indulge me for a few minutes.
Go ahead.
I've lived in this town for, I think, over 37 years now. And I didn't come over here to scream at anybody, or be upset at anybody. And what happened this last week, of course, it's not predictable. But unfortunately, my situation where I live, it's predictable. Because in the last 37 years, this is the 6th time that this happened. Now, we were talking about culverts before in Essex County. Quite honestly, I was going to say that I feel a little neglected, but we are a little neglected on West Lindsley Road because it's a county road. A lot of times, we've basically been saved by Cedar Public Works because the county has never shown up, or even answered calls or emails such as this time. Repeated emails to Mr. DiVincenzo, phone calls, none of them returned or acknowledged. Now, we're talking about culverts here, Essex County culverts. Now, the biggest culvert happens to be in front of my house. Now, what's also in front of my house is a viaduct to Jersey City, which was breached this time there. I'm the one that informed them that it was breached and the water was contaminated. Now, unlike Essex County, of course, these people, immediately they take action. They pretty much follow me home, and before you know it, Kramer is working for them there, not for Essex County. So what they're doing now, they basically, their pipe is important, of course, so now they are reinforcing their pipe. And what they're doing is essentially they're building a funnel to contain this stream and direct it at this culvert, which has a 3-foot pipe. Where it comes out in my property, it's 6 feet in width. And where it comes out under Mountain Avenue, which is the biggest issue here, is also 6 feet. Now, what they're doing now is very nice and may help me with a little bit of water that comes down that stream. But when there's this amount of water, it's going to create another water cannon because now this culvert is an additional foot in height. So the bottom of this culvert is essentially 4 feet above the road. So this water doesn't, when there's a substantial amount of water, this water doesn't just gently flow down into this pipe. It shoots straight out onto the road, onto my house. Now, besides that, Mr. Tucci is very familiar with it. We have the issue with the stream specifically from that point up to Mountain Avenue where Essex County made this water cannon, which now we call that area the Grand Canyon for the residents and the owners of the properties concerned, call it the Grand Canyon. Now this water, as you eroded after this mountain, what broke the viaduct was the boulders, many of which are part of Essex County structure there, hitting this viaduct constantly the whole night. The evidence is my neighbor's yard. All these boulders are in his yard. All the boulders in his yard were never there before. All of this dirt and sediment was never there before. All came down from right on the downhill of Mountain Avenue because this whole mountain is excavated. You got trees that are over 100 feet tall that have been toppled because their roots have been excavated and they just fell over. The bed of the stream up there, I used to go over there crayfishing with my kids when they were young. The bed of the stream was a foot underneath that pipe. It's now 100 feet in depth and probably 200 feet in width. Now you see why we call it the Grand Canyon. There's plenty of evidence, video and photos to see this. And Mr. Tucci has visited this site. Now, between there and this culvert that Suez Water Company is making now, prior to this event, the stream on my neighbor's property across the street was probably 3 feet in depth. It is now basically level with his yard. So this culvert is useless because all of this water and all this debris, rocks, boulders, you name it, car parts, everything comes down that mountain. Comes out into my neighbor's property before it even goes into that pipe, which you can never go into that pipe. Physics is just not possible. Water traveling at that velocity and that quantity is not going to gently flow down into this culvert. So this is all very nice. We can talk about it forever. Again, for 37 years I've been talking about this. This is the 6th event. This has been predicted over and over again. Quite honestly, I think we're going to have to leave Cedar Grove. We don't feel safe in our home anymore. I mean, my wife has Parkinson's, and this is devastating. Devastating. We've asked Essex County to, the pipe that comes out in my property now, which is 6 foot in width, is clogged. It's half of the size now. I was told that they cannot go and clean, at least clean the pipe out so the water can come out. They can't do it. But yet they have an easement on my property to service the pipe, but they can't do it. Now, my neighbor's yard is destroyed. I mean, it's you really have to see it. It's indescribable. So, last time this happened 2 years ago, we had the DEP here, the state, we had everybody. So essentially, we're told that the stream is our responsibility, but we can't touch it. Really? But what are we supposed to do here? Even if we are willing financially or physically to do it, we're not allowed to do it. And financially, it's impossible for, especially the property owner, Mr. Nunes, right on the downside of Mountain Avenue. It's impossible. How could anybody fix that now? I mean, the mountain is destroyed. There's going to be a mudslide coming. The next time, I'm telling you, there's going to be a mudslide even worse than this and the last time. And we talk about culverts, we talk about everything, but we don't talk about the real problem, which is this stream up to Mountain Avenue. And of course, North Caldwell keeps on they keep on building and putting more water and more water into this stream. All these engineers do these beautiful calculations. Nobody checked with us downhill if it was okay with us, like it's supposed to happen. Somehow their beautiful calculations are not benefiting us. North Caldwell has no water, everything runs down Mountain Avenue and down the hill. What about us? What do we do? What do I do when I don't feel safe in my own home anymore?
Mr. Tucci, are you familiar with Mr. Ossa's property where he is located?
Yes, I am.
Yep.
Yes, I am.
I remember.
He knows I've been up there a number of
Right,
times.
right.
I know exactly what he's speaking about.
Right.
And he's absolutely 100% right. Even when you want to do something, either as the town or as the homeowner, DEP will not allow you to touch it.
So when he tells you the stream is a
He's
resident's
the absolute
responsibility,
truth.
but you can't touch,
Everything
that's
he
the
says is
DEP?
the truth.
That's the DEP precluding the
Well,
residents?
DEP has to give you a permit to do the work.
Okay.
Whether it belongs to the county, the township, or the homeowner, the DEP has to issue a permit.
It is financially impossible for the homeowners to do anything with this stream in the condition that it is now. It is financially impossible. Well, we're gonna spend $1 million because of a $500 home now? It's impossible. And just dealing with this whole thing is very frustrating because nobody listens. I mean, it takes, really, Essex County does not return a phone call, does not return an email, doesn't even acknowledge that they exist. They basically even turn their faces as they drive through. They have their subcontractor there fixing the sidewalk which blew up in front of my house. Now, those gentlemen were having some difficulties, they needed some guidance today. I'm walking up my driveway. Somebody from Essex County comes in a truck, they flag him down, screaming essentially. He acknowledges him, stops a little bit ahead, sees me walking up my driveway, does not come out of the truck. He's on the phone. I make believe that I go down my driveway, and then now he turns around. Makes a U-turn, turns around to go see them. I walk back up my driveway, he does not come out of the truck. And 5 minutes later, he leaves. This is what we're dealing with here. This is what we're dealing with. Is this right? Is this fair?
No, it's
I mean,
certain.
you gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, you need to take a road trip, go see our place, go see my neighbor's yard,
Right.
and let's go and see the Grand Canyon, because if you go to West Lindsay Road, you mentioned the Grand Canyon, anybody can take you up there. This is just not right. This is not right. I'm not asking for any favors. I'm appealing to your humanity regarding this situation. I thought I was gonna essentially die in this town of old age, but I can see that's not gonna be possible. It's not gonna be possible.
I don't know what to tell you right now, and I'm glad you came here tonight. I'm not under these circumstances like I've been telling other residents who have called. All I can tell you is, I see Mr. Tucci, we'll talk with Mr. Tucci, and we can get back in touch with you. I don't know, as I sit here right now, what we can do as a town. So we'll talk about it internally, and then we'll be back in touch with you.
I think
yeah.
we probably need to reach out to our legislators. 'Cause
Yeah, that's
it's
what I
a
was
little
thinking of
beyond
myself. Right.
This council's purview to
Right.
handle this at this point.
So
Now,
I could give you my.
This is even more dangerous now that the water company made this culvert.
Right.
Now they're creating a water cannon in front of my
Right,
house.
understood. I will come out, I'll be out to your house, I don't know who else from the council will want to come out with me, and then we can reach out to our senator and our assembly people and see which one of them are in the area they can come as well, and because they're the ones who are going to help us communicate with the DEP. But again, I'm sorry that happened to you, but we'll be out there and we can see what we can do.
And the thing is also, understand that we cannot wait another year for this. I mean, right now, because that
Right.
stream has, the height of the bed of the stream has risen almost 3 feet. Now this stream is not contained at all. Any little rain, this stream is going to overflow. across the street into my house and into my neighbor's property. I mean, we can't wait for this. So, I mean, this has to be addressed now.
Listen, like I said, I'm not going to make you a promise that I can't fulfill. What I can tell you, I will come to your home, I will call our state senator, I hear what you're saying, I do. And we'll do everything that we can, as Councilwoman Peterson said earlier. We will do everything we can in our power to help you, your neighbor, the other neighbors. That's what we'll do. But I'm telling you now, I don't know what we can do right now as we see it, but we'll contact our legislators, we'll be out to your house, and we'll do whatever we can to help you out. It's all I can promise you.
Forgive my
No.
skepticism over this.
Yeah,
but,
right.
I mean, this,
Right.
again, this is not the first time
Right.
we discussed this. So I really don't know. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I wish you all would take a little road trip tomorrow.
Right.
I'm there every day, all day, and see this devastation.
I'll be out there. I can come to your house tomorrow, and I don't say that, because you're asked, but I can come to your house tomorrow. I'd like to, you can show me what you're pointing to. And I'm very familiar with West Lindsay Road, so, and I know it's just not you, it's a lot of people in town, but it's important. I'll come talk with you tomorrow and see what we can do.
And listen, a lot of other people are much worse off than us.
Mm-hmm.
We were lucky. But this is predictable over there. I
Right.
mean, this happens even when there is not a storm like this. I mean, less than a month ago, Essex County was there cleaning the road because this happened about a month ago. Not to this extent, of course, but
Right.
the stream went over the side, and the road was full of dirt and rocks. So, again, I don't know what else to do or say to make people understand what the real problem is. The culvert is not the problem. The problem is this whole mountain that is eroding because of what Essex County did under Mountain Avenue.
You don't need to say anything further. You were crystal clear on what the problem is, and your explanation was very clear. I understand it, so it's not you, again, I appreciate you coming down here. It's unfortunate under these circumstances, but thank you for coming. I'll see you tomorrow. I can come in tomorrow morning,
Thank you,
okay?
appreciate it.
Yep. Good evening.
Chris Jennings, 100 West Lindsay. Want to thank Councilwoman Peterson for responding to some of my messages, and Mr. Souza did a more than adequate job of explaining the issue. I just want to reiterate, I've been in town 15 years. The reason we live where we do is because of the backyard, and because of the creek. I mean, this is why we bought the house, because it was picturesque, and my wife fell in love with it. I have a cement bridge that connects my two parts of the yard, and right now it's an island. The bridge is an island, and so my concern really is, selfishly, I need help fixing this. Understanding though that the real problem is up the hill, because we were here 3 years ago, and I had the township engineer. And,
I remember.
Right.
I remember.
And nothing developed out of that, and I had to make some makeshift changes on my own. But right now, as he said, I'm lucky. I bought my house, in 2000, 15 years ago for $499,000. Not sure what it's worth, but I can tell you right now, I can't sell that house the way it looks today. I have thousands and thousands of stone, pounds of stone in my yard. I have hundreds and hundreds of cubic feet that are missing. I have, a beautiful garden area that's gone, and it's not something that I could either afford or know how to fix. And I certainly don't think, the township or Little Falls down the hill want me and, my friend with a backhoe making these changes,
Right.
because, the effects are gonna be devastating down the line. So, I work rather locally. If you're gonna be there tomorrow, I'll arrange also to be there. I don't know if you have a time that you can say now, or I can reach out to Mr. Souza when you arrive, and I could probably meet there too.
I can meet you there tomorrow morning, like 9:30, I'll be there.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, thank you again.
Yeah. Mr. Dwyer, good evening.
Hey, how are you, Mayor?
I'm good. I'm good.
Dan Dwyer, 187 Little Falls Road. Someone up here made a comment about Hurricane Floyd, brought it up, said there was only 7 inches of rain. I lived here during that. My house flooded during that. There were 11 inches of rain over a 12-hour span. okay? This continues to happen. 3 years ago I was here, I said something to the council 3 years ago. I'm just gonna say it now. Are we waiting for somebody to get killed? This is a safety issue. 3 years ago, Mickey Sherrill came out on TV and said, I've got money from the Corps of Engineers, we're gonna do something. What's been done in 3 years? Has anybody followed up on it? No, no one's followed up on it. Something's gotta be done to the Peckman River. It floods every 3 years now? Yeah, it was a 100-year storm during Floyd. Then 3 years ago, it was a 500-year flood. What is it now? Somebody's gonna get killed, and everybody's gonna say, oh, I'm sorry. It's not acceptable. Somebody up here on the dais said that we can't do anything without the DEP. Has anybody driven down Little Falls Road in the past 2 days? Little Falls is out there clearing out the stream, clearing all the obstructions. Cedar Grove doing anything? No. They have track hose in the stream. They're out there clearing it. We are not. Why? Waiting for someone to get hurt. It's a safety issue. Before this happened, there are trees down across the Peckman River, up the bridge going to Community Park. They've been sitting there for 3 months. Anybody clear them out? No. Everybody just walks by them. If the paint on your house was missing and your house started to erode, it's maintenance, guys. It's maintenance. Cedar Grove owns the park. The river runs through the park. That's your responsibility. It's not Essex County's responsibility. It's your property. It runs through your property. We need to do something about it.
Mr. Tucci, are you familiar with the trees that Mr. Dwyer is referring to?
Yes.
Yep. What's the
What
situation with those?
happens, the Passaic Valley will be in on Wednesday starting
Mhm.
to clean the brook.
Right.
As a matter of fact, for the record, Passaic Valley comes in twice a year and cleans the brook of trees and debris. It's part of the ongoing process.
Mhm.
Little Falls does it themselves, Verona, Cedar Grove, Woodland Park, all these other communities use Passaic Valley, as do we.
Got it.
Woodland Park's down there with track hose in the stream also cleared.
They belong to Passaic Valley. That's who's doing the work there right now.
Okay, there's been a tree down behind my house for a year and a half. It's never been cleared. So maybe they missed that one. But I'm saying something has to be done. This continues to happen and continues to happen. What do we do? What is the solution here?
I don't have a
wanna
solution
come
for you
up-
today.
I
Right.
don't want somebody saying, oh, we're gonna do another report on it, like Mickey Sherrill said.
Mhm.
Mickey Sherrill said, oh, we're gonna do the Corps of Engineers report. Yeah, she's got 3 reports. Nothing's been done. Something needs to be done. Find the report, do something. If it's the Corps of Engineers, get the Corps of Engineers in here. Let's do something about it. But we can't continue to have yards erode away, buildings collapse. Houses are not worth anything in town along Little Falls Road anymore. Used to be a place to live. It's not anymore. Something needs to be done, guys. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Turner. How you doing?
Good, Mr. Mayor.
Good.
My name is Frank Turner, live at 201 Little Falls Road, Cedar Grove. My house was affected by the rains on September 1st. It's the second time in 3 years that the banks of the Beckman River crested the banks and flooded not just my house, but my entire neighborhood. Fortunately or not, we had flood insurance that covers some of it, but many of my neighbors never had flood insurance because there was no need for it. And then when you go down Little Falls Road, further down Cedar Grove Road to Little Falls, there's houses that clearly would not have been considered in a floodplain. And those people and those families were devastated with the destruction. As Mr. Dwyer said, there's safety issues here. And what we're looking to do is using the community ourselves to be able to put positive pressure about addressing the issues. Because from my perspective, when I bought the house in 2007, the last flood, which literally caused $1,000 worth of damage, was 1978. Now, I've had 2 catastrophic floods in 2 years. So the question is, yeah, we've got some torrential rains, but the Pickman River needs to be maintained, and there needs to be resolution to clearing out the water that comes through. And yeah, is it a city issue? Sure. County issue, state issue. But there needs to be work to clear out the issues so the water can properly drain. So you'll hear from us continuously. Please take it as positive, because we're here to help you to solve our community. It's really sad to think about it. Our house is literally a 4-minute walk to the community park. And no one's gonna buy it, and families, once we leave, won't be able to benefit from that side, which is really a shame, because it's a terrific neighborhood. You know my neighbors, you see the activities, but you're gonna lose that by simply not addressing the issue. It's complex, we understand that, but we're prepared to do what we can do to help you do that, and that's all we're asking. So
Thank you,
that's
Mr.
all I have.
Turner.
Thank you.
Mr. Tucci, with regard to the Peckman, were there, the overflowing of it was a result of the water, not so much it was being blocked, it was just the amount of water.
The volume of water.
The volume of
greater than
water.
the capacity of the
Right,
stream.
right, okay.
That's what happened in this storm.
Because when I hear when it's maintained, I know in the past, you've told us that Passaic County maintains that, or dredge,
They come in and they clean the stream.
Right, 2
They
times a
take-
year.
They take the debris out.
Right,
They don't touch the bed.
Right.
They just clean all the debris. Whether it be rocks, they push to the side, the trees they pull out, they have a boom and a track machine that goes
Right.
in the bed.
so from what I'm hearing from the residents here, it's not clearing it out, I don't know what the right terminology is, if you gotta dig it deeper, you dredge it, I don't know.
The problem is the volume.
The volume,
The volume of the storm versus the capacity of the stream.
right. Okay. Yes, sir, please.
My name is Spencer Suchapormes, 201 Little Falls Road.
Can
Kim
you-
Caparero from 195 Little Falls Road.
Can you just do me a favor for the clerk's benefit, can you spell your last name, please?
Sure. It's SUJJAPORAMEST. It's a long last name.
Yeah, and what was your address?
201 Little Falls Road. So you just heard from Mr. Turner. He is my husband. Kim is my next door neighbor. And
That's Kim here?
Yep.
And Kim, I'm sorry, again, I apologize, Kim, what's your last name?
Last name is Caparero. It's CAPPARARO, and I'm at 195 Little Falls Road.
Thank you to both of you, go ahead, please.
And we've decided to come up together because starting last week, we, as Mr. Turner and Mr. Dwyer have mentioned, our community has come together to bring attention to this problem that we've been having over the years. Prior to 2018, my biggest complaint about this town was just the deer eating my roses. But after that, it's just been nothing but flood problems, water problems, overflowing of water problems. And this last flood last week was just took the cherry off the top of the cake, you know. And we just can't handle it anymore. We've started to go door to door to talk to our other neighbors in the same neighborhood and in other pockets of the town. So far, we've started a petition. Again, this is not to say
Understood.
that we're blaming anybody. We're just trying to get a collective effort going so we can be taken seriously. Again, this is not our first flood. I've only been here about 15 years, and this is my third. And
I've only been here for 10 years, and this is my second within 3 years.
yes, so what we're doing is we're going door to door collecting signatures. And so far, just between the two of us and maybe one or two of our neighbors with the full-time jobs that we have, we've gotten almost over 150 signatures already. So if you don't think that's serious, we can keep on going. We will go to 500 if we have to. I personally talked to a few of you already, so I do thank you for getting back to us. You know, this problem is not just an isolated problem. The real estate promotion, this is a 100-year flood, just doesn't do it anymore. You know, we love this neighborhood. Her children go to the great school system, and we enjoy the amenities that we have here. One of the petition, when I actually went to the Lobster Fest, even though I'm a vegetarian, but to start collecting some signatures there. Yes, we do encounter some no's, but mostly we've been getting a lot of support. Yes, but again, so far we've gotten no assistance yet, and I know you said we're gonna look into it, we're gonna get the reports done. However, this flood and the flood before was 3 years ago. Was there anything, you know, looked into at all? Were there solutions reached? Because this flood, I'm sure it would have happened again, but could it have been minimized? I always will wonder. The second flood, which was 3 years ago, somebody mentioned that do we have to wait until somebody has to lose their lives? I was down in the basement when the water started coming in, and it was so fast that it broke my garage. Nobody was home but me. I almost did not make it up to the second floor, or the main floor. The water was up to my neck, and so was the same level was this time as well. So we do ask that you look into it, get to the right people. We only have you to rely on. We don't know where else to go. So that's what I have to say.
Just looking for support from everybody here, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I had to return your pen. I'm back. Paul Burns. Just to reiterate, I, obviously, you know that I live along the Peckman, and I had a discussion with Mr. Tucci the other day about the infrastructure of the stream. You know, you have small bridges. I think there's, after the Verona Lake, which was decimated, I mean, totally. You know, you had that lake coming over, it tore out the 2 full bridges in the park. And then it had to go through underneath Bloomfield Avenue, then it widens out. Took out many properties over there on Dewan Avenue. Then it hits another bridge over by Linden Avenue, it's another one, before it hits the other one, it hits the, our septic. Is it our property there? That's Verona, I think. Yeah, that's Verona. Anyway, it hit that, and then you had all that mess going over it, then it's another bridge. Every time it goes through a bridge, it widens out. Then you got all that volume going down there. It's another bridge, 23. All that thing spreads out. Goes around the corner down Devil's Brook, Devil's Pond.
Yeah.
What a mess, right? How many years ago did it take that bridge out? There was a lake down there. You know, this has been going on a long time. But we haven't gotten to a position where the state, county, or anybody comes back and rebuilds the wall. You have down the Taylor's Pond. If you look at right across the street, all that debris that came off that hill is on the other side, and there's a big pile of rock there. That water can't go anywhere but out. Doesn't go just straight down. So obviously, there's a dig out that's got to be done. We know that. Everybody knows it, but nobody's going to do it. All right, past that. Here's my final. The field. Mr. Tucci, 95% completed. They didn't put the fence up in the back of the field. Are they going to do that before they have the opening? I hope. If you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
The back of the field doesn't have a fence in yet. Okay. They haven't had, as far as I know, a lighting testing, because originally in the big field, I had a big issue with those lights.
Right.
They were shining right at me, and we you know,
They adjusted them.
made sure they took care of that. Well, we haven't had a test on the lights for that yet.
Do they have that?
No,
Mr.
like-
Not hooked up.
There you go.
Right. But don't open the field until you show them my face. What was the other thing? We had the fence, the lights, the sound. I got so mad the other day, and
You talking about on
they had
Saturday?
a
On
great
Saturday?
flyover and helicopter and everything, but I was in there and I you got the sound coming through everywhere, nice and light over by Bradford Avenue. But my house, you couldn't even speak. I was down below the speaker, and they turned it down, but I just want to make sure that before they go down and they do all their garbage, not garbage.
Yeah, I understand.
Events.
Right.
They do their events.
Right.
If they have a sound check, I would ask that. Just whoever's running the thing, have a sound check before they do their systems.
Mr. Burns, you know better than anybody how cognizant we've been of your concerns from day one with this, right? You've been in
We've
here.
had discussions.
Yeah, we've had a lot of discussions, and we appreciate your input, and, all your points are well taken, and obviously, we're gonna do what's necessary for you and your surrounding residents, so you're satisfied with, we're not looking to hurt anybody in that area,
Of course not. It's a beautification, I
Yeah.
understand that. I understand that. My last point is, and I spoke to Ms. Tucci about this too, is, the back, that's still a flooded area. They got the football, it's got their sled back there. They can't
You're
use
talking the
sled
back that, the lines next to the Peckman going, but where are you referring to?
there.
You know where it is? I'm not sure.
Where they were shooting off the fireworks, which, again, the fireworks equipment, or not equipment, the dead boxes are still there. But they have their sled, the football sled back there, they can't move that, it's in mud.
Yeah, I'm not sure where that is, but we can take a look
I'll
at it.
find
Yeah.
out
from Cedar Road during
Yeah.
football.
Right,
They just practice here once in a while. It's
Right.
the only place they got left to practice. So,
yeah.
But, that's it. I think you had enough.
It's good to see you again, Mr. Burns.
All right.
All right. Anybody else from the public wishing to be heard? Mr. Maneri?
Good evening. Sal Maneri, 26 Sweetwood. I understand now why all the gentlemen are wearing jackets, because anybody know, it's freezing in here. But aside, I just wanted to commend the council, the mayor, and the township manager for having these people air their concerns and for taking a serious interest in it. This devastation that we had, people are desperate, and they need to have at least a sounding board and understand that you are taking these things seriously, and you do what you can to help them. One thing happened in this town that has not happened before in a long, long time. One of the things is you acknowledge on 9/11, this 20th year anniversary was especially important to show how much the town and how much the people in this town, okay, are concerned about the loss of life and those that gave their lives for this town. I noticed the special murals that were put up, okay, and also the special lighting. You understood that you have to demonstrate the spirit of this town, not only for the residents of town and the business of town, but all the people that come through this town. There was not only a 2-square block decorations that were put up in this town. 238 utility poles were festooned with the flag of the United States of America. Many people in this town took notice of that. Many of these people felt a lot of pride in Cedar Grove. The people that came through Cedar Grove, I heard so many comments from them that they said this was the first time they felt that Cedar Grove was not a town of indifference. The 3-mile stretch of this town was fully decorated, and the spirit of this town was displayed. Many people came up to me and told me, will the town continue to do this? I said, it's up to the town council as to what they want to do. Will they do it for other important historic occasions? I said, again, that's up to the town. I will present it to the town council and ask them how important these other historic events mean to them. We have President's Day, Memorial Day, D-Day, Flag Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, Patriots Day, which is 9/11, Columbus Day, Election Day, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving, Pearl Harbor Day. Is there any reason why this town would not want to acknowledge these events also? I said, I don't think there's anything. As a matter of fact, it can be done very easily. It can be done at absolutely no cost to the town and no use of the labor force because it was demonstrated this past 9/11. The businesses in town, I heard what they were saying. The residents of the town, I heard, people that were traveling through this town understood that this is uplifting to them and also for the people that live and work in this town. If the council and manager think it is important to recognize this event on other occasions, I can make it happen. It will be absolutely no cost to the town, no use of their forces. If the town is interested, you can contact me, and we can make it happen.
Thank you, Mr. Maneri. Anybody else from the public wishing to be heard? Okay. Seeing none, okay. We're going to go into executive session now for the residents in the audience, okay? Whereas Section 8 of the Open Publics Meeting Act permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting of the mayor and council in certain circumstances, and whereas the mayor and council of the Township of Cedar Grove are of the such opinion that such circumstances exist, now therefore be it resolved by the mayor and council of the Township of Cedar Grove